Hey, this is Troy Taylor with the Championship Football Coaches Clinic. We got Chris Fisher here today with the Texas High School Football Chat. We have Coach McNally. We're really excited to have Coach McNally on. And I'm going to pass it to Chris. If anybody has a question, Chris is going to explain to you how you use the hashtag Texas High School Football Chat.
All right, guys. I'm about to tweet out on at Texas High School Football Chat. Reply to that tweet if you have any questions for Coach McNally, or you can also post a question into the comments here on the StreamYard. Okay, either way, that way you can take advantage of this great resource and Coach McNally's time that he is so generously offering today.
So, Coach McNally, before we get any questions, for anybody that doesn't know, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey as a coach and where do you come from, Coach?
Well, I come from a little town in the Buffalo, New York area called Kenmore, and I played high school football at Kenmore West, and my coach was a guy named Jules Jakupovich, and he wrote the book on the radar defense. And in like 1968 or 9, his team got the national championship award, even though it was only theoretical, but they went undefeated, etc. So I had a great high school football coach who wrote a book on the radar defense. I got a scholarship. I mean, they asked me to walk on at the University of Buffalo, which is a Mid-American college team, and I was a walk-on, and I was a linebacker, and I couldn't see very well because I was only 5'9". And Buddy Ryan, who was our defensive coordinator, they moved me to a 2 technique, which was really a 1 technique at the time. And then I earned a scholarship, and I was a 3-year letterman, a 2-year starter, and then I became a student assistant, a graduate assistant, the freshman coach, the varsity coach. Then we dropped football in 1970, and I went to Marshall. And Marshall's the school that had the plane crash. And I was with the coaches that replaced those coaches that were killed in that awful plane crash. I was 4 years at Marshall. Then I went to Boston College for 3 years, had some great players. And then I went to Wake Forest for 2 years. In my second year, we beat Auburn, we beat Georgia, we beat Virginia Tech, we beat North Carolina, and then I went to the Cincinnati Bengals. So I was a college coach from 1965 until 1980. So in 1980 is when I started the NFL career.
And what all stops, Coach? We got a comment here from Kyle Jolly. Kyle played for Sam Pittman at UNC, and then he went on to play for the Bears, and he's a high school coach down in Tampa, Coach. And
okay.
He put the GOAT symbol, Coach. So he's watching. He's an O-line coach. He coached at VMI for Scott Wackenheim, who was a tight end coach for the Redskins, and O-line coach. He coached Morgan Moses, the place for the Ravens. But tell us a little bit about your NFL journey, Coach.
Okay, well, NFL journey, I was in Boston recruiting for Wake Forest, and my wife said, I called home. She said, Forrest Gregg called. And I said, Forrest Gregg? He's the greatest player that ever played for Vince Lombardi, because there's a plaque that Vince Lombardi said that. Yeah. I said, why would he call me? So I had a number, and I called back. I said, he said, this Forrest Gregg, new coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. I said, come on, who the hell are you? You're kidding me. No, it was him. And he said that I'm going to hire a line coach, and your name came up. And so, one thing led to another. I had an interview. A week later, he called me, gave me the job. And I was 15 years at the Bengals, 4 with Forrest, and about 9 with Sam Weish, and then a couple with David Shula. And then I went, Bill Polian, the new general manager of the Carolina Panthers, who was with the Buffalo Bills, who I was brought up with, and who we played against when I was at the Bengals, he hired me at the Panthers, even before they announced the head coach. But the head coach approved it. That was Dom Capers. And I was at the Panthers for 4 years. Then I went to the New York Giants for 5 years. Then I went back to the Buffalo Bills for 4 years. Then I retired. And then immediately Sean Payton hired me pretty much like as a consultant for 2 years. Then my good friend Bill Callahan and Rex Ryan brought me to the Jets for a couple of years. Then I worked for the Bengals for 9 years as a consultant, pretty much O-line consultant, doing projects, etc., grading free agents, that type of stuff.
Coach, I'm gonna let Chris, since he's O-line coach at a high school in Texas. What high school you coach at, Chris?
I'm at Ridgepoint High School down in the Fort Bend, Houston area.
Now, this time yesterday, Chris, I don't even know if you knew you were going to be on with Coach McNally, but I'm going to let you ask the first question because you were so excited to have Coach come on, man.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Coach, I was reading, one of your tweets. You're talking about doing a clinic soon for high school athletes specific. So,
yeah, that was that. I've done that for generally the last 5 or 6 years. I do that locally, and we do it on a weeknight, and we publicize it through Facebook, Twitter, or emails, and we have generally about 40 kids. And what I used to do is show about a half hour of video, and then we'd break down and go into the gym because, here it's wet, the grounds are wet, it's still the winter time, even in the spring. And we do 2 hours of football. They wear helmets, no headbutting or any of that, and they wear sneakers. And we pay the liability, and they sign a waiver in case they get hurt. And I do that. I did it 1 year for 10 sessions, but this year I'm only doing it for 5. Yes, so I do a local one.
Okay. So what when it comes to teaching the high school athlete, training the high school athlete, what do you feel like are the most important things that like a high school coach should be working on?
Well, I think that most of the kids I get, they don't know much about proper posture, bending, they stand straight up, they bend at the waist, just they don't know how to fire their feet, boom, boom, boom. So, we spend a good 1 or 2 or 1.5 sessions on the basics of posture, body mechanics, rooting your feet. I'd have to demonstrate all the things that we would teach, but it's basically like in the running game, it's no longer flat back, fire out, ass up, head down. It's more lifting, rooting your feet, gathering yourself, almost like a gorilla in the zoo. If you've ever been to a zoo and you see how the gorilla moves, he's got his ass right down on the ground and he's moving. Well, his head is up, his ass is down. You take little steps. And so we work a lot on firing the feet, 100 miles an hour, not on the toes, but on the whole foot. Bam, 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 bam. And everything we do is the feet are out, like a duck. And absolutely. Our knees are out, actually. We don't have the pigeon-toed. We don't have the knees in. And just getting them in the proper posture takes almost a full. Now, that's why I like working with the older kids, because they're easier to coach than the 7th, 8th, 6th grader, which I give a lot of credit to those coaches, because it's like starting like, here's a football. You can put 11 pounds in there, 12 pounds, how many pounds you put in it, here's the line of scrimmage. That's kind of old for me, you know what I mean? So I like the boys that are at least 10th, 11th, or 12th graders, but more of the demeanor, the posture, the striking, everything we do is long. long with the hands. Can that guy see me, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So what I'm saying to you, we teach how to play long and not wind up. We don't wind up at all. Everything is like, if I'm coming off the ball, boom, how fast can that happen? Whether it's this hand, both hands, whether it's a pass block, we call that proactive, okay? It's like a pendulum. How fast can my hand get boom? Like if we were zone blocking, and let's say this cup right here, I can't see the cup, so I'm gonna add something else here. I'm gonna add this guy to this cup. There you go. So I'm gonna stick his ass right in here. Okay, so let's say I'm the right guard, okay, and I'm working with the center, okay, and that I got to hit this guy and go up to the linebacker, okay. So what we would do, how fast can I get the hands on this guy, boom, to push him, shove him, whatever we're doing, rather than doing the shoulders, the forearms. So we're basically play long, whether it's with one hand or two hands. And another thing on zone type blocking, like a mid or a wide zone, we don't teach the uncovered guy to just fire out right now and try to kill the next guy. We kind of shuffle a little bit, because if the next guy from my inside pinches, I can give him a shot before I go up on the backer. If the backer scrapes, I can go kill the down guy. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff we teach, but I would say I'm probably updated to the latest techniques because I'm very close with Scott Peters, who's the top guy in the world in the use of the hands, judo, martial arts, and Coach Callahan with the Jets that I'm very close with, and another guy, and then I'll quit talking. Another guy, if you Google him on YouTube, his name is John Strollo, Strollo. He uses real big words. So if you can get through the words, he's the smartest guy I've ever been around. And I coached him at Boston College.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's the connection. He is smart. I really enjoy his YouTube videos.
Yeah, you got to
about posture.
His words. I tell him, John, you've lost me. Make it smaller, littler words. You know what I mean? But
that's why me and you get along.
What's that?
That's why me and you get along, Coach. Little words.
Yeah, make it simple. Like fucking fire out. You know, or something like that. You know what I mean?
We got a comment here from Jim Tim, Coach. Jim Tim is one of the biggest fans of the clinic. He lives in Rochester, New York, Coach.
Okay, well, that's only 60 miles away.
Jim Tim, see, you follow the Championship Football Coaches Clinic, and look who you're networking with. He said that he needed to network, Coach. So he's networking. Coach Bald down in St. Petersburg, Florida, said, duck demeanor and handcuffs. Thanks for the follow, Coach, and the kind words. You blessed my Twitter. Fire. Coach, this is who you sent the tweet to. Would you like to tell everybody, what did you tweet to Coach Bald?
I told you, yeah, Coach Bald is the number one man working with me. But I think he might have been like the 300th guy that asked me to follow him. And then pretty soon I said, I'm not following anybody else. I don't know who the hell you are. I said that I actually pressed one guy that wanted to put me on Instagram. I mean, I don't remember how, because some of the coaches out there will understand. I hit it thinking, well, maybe all this shit will go to Instagram. I was hacked. And then all these coaches are getting stuff from Instagram. Then we had to reset my password. That drove me crazy. So anyway, trust me, I pressed the first, I don't know how many, 50, 60, 70 people that said, follow me, or, ask to follow, or however you do that. And I pressed, I kept pressing. Then I kept getting tweet. So-and-so follows you, so-and-so. I said, I am not going to follow anybody else, because I'd spend all day hitting the follow button.
You went from 200 to 600 followers in 3 days, Coach. How has your Twitter journey been? I mean, how in the world did you learn how to do Twitter?
It's very confusing. I have to actually go back to the Twitter account, hit my little picture, that's about this small, about as small as my finger, the end of that, I hit my face, and then my profile comes up, and then on the left of the profile, there's that little bell, and I hit the bell, but then I don't know what the hell the bell means. The bell means I got a tweet, but then I don't know how. What do? I hit the tweet, and then I got the little envelope with somebody asking me a question, and I press that, and there's a lot of bullshit on there. I mean, I don't even know if sometimes they just a quote by somebody's asking me a question. It's complicated.
Have you got any questions on the Texas high school football hashtag?
No, I love Texas high school football.
See, anybody that's watching, Coach has videos available on CoachTube. All right. And that link is right down there at the bottom.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you one thing. My most recent video that's the best is the last year's one at the Cool Clinic when I talked about different hand strikes. The older ones on CoachTube are not as good as what I have now. Or I have got, actually, you wouldn't believe it. I don't know how you find it, but I have taken, if I can find them somewhere. Okay. I have got, I'll show you. Through my years of being a consultant, if I saw a good play or a good this or a good that, I have got this many mini clips. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, it's hard to see that, but right there, that's okay. Now that's only page 1. Okay. Let's go to about page, holy shit, I don't even know what page this is. This is now, I got almost 290 clips of one's 1 minute, one's 30 seconds, one's 2 minutes, and they're all voiced over by me, and they're on my personal iPad or my iPhone, and that's my best stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, if somebody were to ask me, Coach, can you send me a clip of something, whatever it is, don't make it too complicated,
inside zone, outside zone, counter power, right?
Yeah. Don't say I want the whole thing. Well, it could be a play, it could be a technique, it could be a whatever. Coach, do you have a clip of so and so? I would go into my phone, I would press it and send it to them, maybe on their text or maybe
Twitter.
Twitter. I guess I would send it on Twitter. Yeah, because you can send videos on Twitter.
So we have a comment down here.
Yeah.
Coach Tatum. And Coach Tatum is a 26-year-old high school O-line coach from North Carolina. He said the first clinic I ever attended was Glacier in Charlotte in 2016. Okay. I attended Coach McNally's clinic, and I was hooked. When he showed us how to block using a chair, I knew I was going to be a coach for life. So that was what, 7 years ago? He was only like 19. You're only like 19.
It's 2023. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Jim Tim said you are the greatest offensive line coach of all time. And he's in Rochester, New York. You need to come work his camp, Jim Tim.
There's been a lot of great O-line coaches. I'll give you the names of them. As you know, back in the day, in the old days, old days for these young guys, a guy named Jim Hannafin was a great coach. Old timer, wrote a book.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. A guy named Raleigh Dotch was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A guy named John Michael was with the Minnesota Vikings. Okay. And there was a whole bunch of good, a guy named Whitey Jordan, I think, with the Baltimore Colts. Now that's back in the, Chris, I'm trying to think. That'd be back in the 60s, late 50s, maybe early 70s. And then there came Howard Mudd, who was an expert. Alex Gibbs, obviously, who actually got the wide zone from me because he's the one that called me. He said, Coach, how do you run that wide zone? And then he tweaked it to his way. Okay. And then there was Joe Bugle, okay, who's deceased. Alex Gibbs is deceased. Jim Hannafin is deceased. I don't even know how many old Tom Lovat. He coached for years with Seattle, et cetera. So there's a whole bunch of guys, and the ones that are most recognized are ones that have won Super Bowls. Like Alex Gibbs won 3 or 4 or 2 or 3 Super Bowls. So he became not only a guru of the wide zone because he won Super Bowls, that upped him some. I was in 4 Super Bowls, won none. But that I think my plus is that I will take the time and the energy to try to teach somebody. And if they don't get it, come on, you don't get it. I'll bust their balls a little bit until they get it, at least they get what I'm trying to say. I like teaching. I don't care what you are. Now, the hard guys are the little league or whatever the hell you want to call them, midget, little league, whatever. I mean, it's not their fault. I mean, they volunteer, right? I mean, those little kids got to start somewhere, and some of them are clueless. So starting to coach them is harder than to coach the little league player himself.
Kyle Jolly, Coach, wants to know. He said, you said you are a short set guy now. I am as well. What made you change?
No, not. I'm not only short. I am not until I die. If I ever coach again or go to a clinic, I am not a guy that would. How the fuck do I get out of here? Okay, I'm not a guy. Can you see me?
Yeah, Coach.
Yeah, I'm not a guy. It's going to back up. I'm a guy right here. Now, I'm not talking about a tackle, okay, that might have a 4-eye on his inside shoulder. But let's say this is my inside shoulder, okay, and I might have a threat of a tackle end twist. That tackle may have to vertical set so he doesn't get picked. But I'm talking about the centers and guards are not going to be backing up. They're going to be close into space. You see how my feet fired? Okay. Now maybe the guy's a little wide. Watch me go. I'll move a little laterally, blah, 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 and then I'll close the space. But I'm always postured. I'm always ass down, head up. Whether I'm striking with one arm, 2 hands, grabbing the, we call these clamps, okay? Whether you're clamping, the shoulders where you're hitting them in a pec, whether you're coming under with one hand, 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? I'm jumping. I'm going forward. Most people don't know how to do it because they think they're just going to run block and they go fall on their face. You have to maintain that same posture, okay, of your head back, your knees bent, your back is arched, and you got to stay square. When you turn on an angle to go after a guy, you with me? They can beat you. When you're square, you can adjust inside or outside. So I'm a firm believer on run or pass. Stay as square as you can for as long as you can.
Man.
Okay? Yes.
We're
short
kindred
set.
spirits.
We call it jumping.
Yeah, Coach Bald wants to know, does Coach know Bob Wiley? And if so, any good stories?
I've trained Bob Wiley. Bob Wiley was a little league coach when I was at Boston College. I turn around and here's Bob Wiley in one of my clinics. He's like a little league coach or a junior high coach or something. Bob Wiley has followed me for 50 years. So, Bob Wiley's a scratch golfer. He can play the drums. He can fly an airplane. You would never know it because he must weigh 400 pounds.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's not a good story. It's a kind of a sad story, but it's an interesting story. Bob Wiley's last year with the Browns, and he's a big guy. He's got to be 400 pounds or close to it. He stepped in a hole. He turned. He tore up his knee, his hamstring, his other ankle. He was flat on his back for 12 weeks in a rehab center. And then I think a year or two later, he may have coached somewhere in Canada, and all he could do was sit on the bench. You know what I mean? And coach from the bench. But yes, I know Wiley, and I mentored him.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go. He will tell you I'm the guy that mentored him.
Yeah. So Coach, I've got 3 days under you. I just got to go another 49 years and 363 days. Do we have, Chris, do we have any questions on the Texas high school chat for Coach?
Still no questions on Twitter yet.
So Coach Bald, now he's asking about Paul Alexander, Coach. I heard he can play the piano and he's an orchestra guy. Tell us, he wants to know about Paul Alexander.
Paul Alexander was a very smart guy. The first time I met him, I gave a clinic in Cortland, New York, is where he went to school. There was a Holiday Inn there. He was like a junior or senior in college. They were all high school coaches, college coaches in the audience, and one player, Paul Alexander. So he was smart way back then. And you know, then he wanted to be a coach, and he, I don't know how he started his coaching exactly. I know that he ended up, I know exactly. He was a graduate assistant at Penn State, and I believe he was a graduate assistant at Michigan. He did 2 graduate assistantships. Then he got hired at Central Michigan in the Mid-American, and then he used to come to the Bengals and visit me and this, that, and the other. And then Bruce Coslett, who became the head coach for the New York Jets, hired him as the tight end coach. That was kind of his background. But he's a pretty academic guy. He's very smart, and he can play the piano. And he feels that playing the piano and, you know, the mental gymnastics you have to do to relax, or whatever you have to do to you know, to be a pianist, relates to some things you might have to do in football.
Yes, sir.
So
Coach Tatum wants to know about Dante Scarnecchia, Coach, O-line for the Patriots. He learned a lot from his...
Dante Scarnecchia himself is a great line coach, and he went to Super Bowls, but he was a special teams coach at the Colts, and they moved him to the offensive line. He called me when I was in Cincinnati and wanted to know if I would prep him on offensive line play. So he came for a couple of days, and I coached him, mentored him some, and then obviously he stayed at the Colts for a while, and then he went to the Patriots. And I think he was under a few coaches even before Belichick got there. And obviously they had Tom Brady, and then he coached in a number of Super Bowls and retired, and then came back again after they fired whoever they hired after he left.
They won the Super Bowl the year that they fired the O-line coach and brought Dante Scarnecchia back, from what I remember. I could be wrong, Coach.
I don't know if they won it or not, but I know they fired the guy, and then they hired Dante, and I think he came back for 2 years and he retired again.
Yeah. So Kyle Jolly wants to know, do you have any stories about Howard Mudd, Coach?
Oh yeah, Howard Mudd. Howard Mudd was one of the first guys that said, set short or shorter. What he meant was, go get them on pass blocking. Set short or shorter. That means he couldn't emphasize enough how much he wanted the blockers to short set.
Yeah.
Howard Mudd came to my house one time, and he brought his own Diet Cokes. I was like, you know, we had all kinds of things ready for him, and he walked in with a whole bunch of Diet Cokes. Howard Mudd was a very smart guy. He started at Michigan State, then I think he transferred and he went to I don't know if it was Adrian College, a smaller school in Michigan. He played for the 49ers, and he was a very academic kind of guy. Even though he was a tough football player, he knew how to use sophisticated words that meant good stuff. You know what I mean? And he was the first one, Howard Mudd, that I think we both kind of did it at the same time, but I got to give him credit. He was the first guy, Howard Mudd, that actually, I'm going to use these things as feet, okay? Because I can't see my feet. I got a hole here because I got a bunion. You see this here? I got a bunion there, and so I cut the whole thing. Okay, but so this is Howard Mudd. I'm going to get to the thing. Okay, so maybe this is his stance. And maybe you got to fire out this way, in that direction. He was the first guy to drop the foot. Then the second step went forward. Boom, boom. What that did is it lowered your center of gravity rather than when you take a lead step, you're just as high as you are when you started because it's hard to take a lead step and get low. You understand me? Your feet are kind of staggered. This, you drop the lead foot, which lowered, but it was real fast. It was like boom, boom. I mean, boom, boom. And they called that a drop step. Well, then people said, oh, shit, the head coach will think if you're using a drop step, you're not firing out. But your upper body was going forward. Even though that foot was dropped, it's no different than a running back who might drop a foot, but he's still leaning forward to get the football. So he was really the first guy that really started and now we call it a brace step, to take the word drop out of it. He used the word drop step, bucket step, lose ground to gain ground. He was more noted for that type of stuff. He was a big Crowther guy that I wouldn't use anymore because I want to get long. I want to be able to see. Okay, I want separation. Okay, but he was big with the Crowther. He was trained under Tommy Prothro, a real old-time coach from the San Diego Chargers. That's where he first worked, and he was a great guy. He was with the Colts for all those years when they had Peyton Manning.
Coach Jim Tim from Rochester, New York wants to know, you might have to get coached up about all your penalties, Troy. I am the most penalized coach of all time, Coach. I've been penalized more than any coach on any level.
Yeah.
Holding, personal fouls. What can you say? Have you ever been around a coach that gets a lot of penalties?
No, not really. I mean, the officials can call a penalty on every play. I think as long as you keep your hands inside, start with, you can hold. It's legal. They'll tell you it's legal. You can get underneath those cantilevers or whatever the hell those things are called, underneath the pads here, and you can get on there. You can grab and hold. You could, but what I'm saying, I'd rather strike. I want to get here so you can see my hand.
Go opposite. Other way.
Opposite.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 and then boom. Now maybe I'll grab a little more on pass blocking. If I were to grab this area, boom, okay. They don't really call. Here's what they call. They call the roundhouse. Like a tight ends on the end. Yeah. And here's the stupid stuff they call. They call when, let's say, a guy does a rip. He rips through you, and you take him and torque him to the ground. You've taken his momentum, like he stepped through to use a rip on you. You can torque him right to the ground, but you're not holding him. You just threw him or torqued him.
Yeah.
Okay. There was no grabbing or holding. It was just, and that's, by the way, all blocks, in my opinion, should be finished with a torque. I'm blocking the guy. Blah, 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 blah. Boom. Why? One arm is longer than two. Watch this. Here's two arms. Okay. Here's one arm. One arm is longer than two. So when you torque a guy, you get long. Okay. You end the block, whether it's a pass block or a run block, and you're moving them, you torque. Even if you torque them towards where the ball carrier is running, you'll torque them past the ball carrier, and the ball carrier will cut up. Don't keep two hands on a guy. When you think it's too good to be true, it is. So I'm blocking a guy. I got two hands on him. Blah, 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 blah. You know what they're going to do? They're going to see the ball carrier and they're going to throw you. Okay. As soon as you put two hands on a guy, let's say, and he starts to move a little bit, pull one arm off. Let's say we're going, yeah. So I'm going this way. Oh, I think I got him. Blah, blah, blah. Pull one arm off and torque him with the other arm. Throw him. If you leave two hands on them, they'll grab you because they see the ball carrier and they're going to disengage. They're going to retrace.
Yeah, I listened to Alex Gibbs give a lecture once, Coach, and he said he'd get a cut up of every holding penalty for the entire season, for the entire NFL. And whatever the referees are calling, he doesn't teach. So that's a good point.
Well, what I'm saying is that you can call holding on every play. And I mean, if you just flat out bear hug them,
Yeah,
you're going to call it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you keep your hands tight and
handcuffs on,
and alternate hands, boom, boom. And like I say, I think if you use alternate type strikes, when I say alternate type strikes, you know, I might strike a guy with this hand, boom, and then my next hand comes under, boom, boom. Boom, boom, and I'm driving them, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Coach Bald wants to know how were you able to help Jason Peters from an undrafted tight end to an all-pro? What did you see in him, Coach?
Oh my God. We got him in 2004 and he's still on the Cowboys, I think. Yeah, I think so. 2004. And he was big. I mean, he's not quite 6'5". So, I mean, he's not one of those 6'6" guys. And he was like 330, 40 pounds, strong, quick, athletic. He was a tight end. And, you know, I don't think he was like fast enough to be a tight end that you would, you know, you'd rather have wide receivers in there and he could block. So we said, he'd be a perfect tackle. And then we moved him to right tackle when a guy got hurt. And then we pretty much spent like all of spring and preseason, you know, tutoring him and this, that, and the other. And he'll tell you, if you first reports by Jason Peters, he'll tell you about how we worked with him. And now, you know, it's, I don't know, 17, 18 years later, he's still playing, you know. I think he's been injured quite a bit, but he's made a lot of money, and he was a powerful guy now. And then we moved him to left tackle, and he was such a good athlete that once he learned the plays and the systems, it was not difficult to coach him.
Coach, you wanted to talk about Damian Jackson. I'd forgotten to ask you about him.
Yes. I don't think there's any pro scouts or pro personnel people listening to us. But an interesting thing here at Buffalo, University at Buffalo, we're in the Mid-American Conference. So I'll try to make a long story short if I can. There's a kid that's originally from California whose mom somehow moved to Las Vegas. He was brought up in Las Vegas, a single mom. His name is Damian Jackson, Damian. You all out there should Google him. Damian Jackson. Okay, he's a white kid. Okay, in high school, he only played baseball and soccer. He joined the Navy SEALs. Okay, 6-year veteran Navy SEAL. Now, you know, those guys are trained killers. I mean, they could squash you with one hand. Okay, so I believe he was perhaps in explosives, ballistics. I believe he was a sharpshooter, but he does not like to talk about his you know, where he was stationed, etc. And I don't blame him. So anyway, somehow he got to Nebraska and he wanted to play football. So he goes to Nebraska and I don't know how he picked Nebraska, but he did. And he asked him, "Can I play football?" They said, "No, you're too old. You never played high school football." And he said, "Please, please." And they gave him a tryout. And they loved him. You wouldn't believe what this kid does in your locker room, being a 6-year veteran as a Navy SEAL, to the coaches, administration, the other players, as far as motivating them, as far as seeing his work habits, etc. So he's kind of a backup player at Nebraska. He never played football now, so it's going to take him almost 3 years to learn even where the hell to line up. He's a decent long snapper. So the strength coach at Nebraska, a guy named Zach Duval, who's no longer there, said he's the strongest kid we've ever had at Nebraska. In Nebraska, under the former strength coach that, I forget his name, but he's very Boyd Epley, who started their real strength program. And Zach told me, he said, "This is the strongest kid we've ever had at Nebraska." You can imagine how strong he must be. He's about 6'3", 260. And he finished his 4 years at Nebraska. I believe he got his degree. And then the strength coach called the coach at Buffalo, University of Buffalo, who was with the Dallas Cowboys, and I think he was with Texas A&M. His name is Maurice Linguist. And Zach says, "Listen, Mo, this kid can play for you. He's getting better and better and better." So he comes to Buffalo, okay? He ends up being the starting outside linebacker and the backup snapper. He's not the starting snapper because they already had one, but he's pretty good at it. But he's 30 years old, and a lot of these pro teams say, "Geez, he's too old." But a 30-year-old Navy SEAL's in better shape than an 18-year-old kid. Let's admit that. So they have their spring day, I believe, March 16th, and let's hope that enough pro scouts show up, and all they need to do is either draft them late, free agent, give them a tryout, have them in their camp. Maybe he makes their team as a special teams player. He runs pretty good. He'll go through all the vertical jump and this, that, and the other. But I befriended him because when I found out we got a Navy SEAL playing for my alma mater, I said, "Holy shit, I got to meet this kid. Are you kidding me?" I mean, how many times have you ever rubbed shoulders with one of those guys? I'll bet you there isn't 5 listening to me now that has been face-to-face, shaking hands, ate lunch, been out with a pure Navy SEAL. So anyway, I befriend the guy, and he's got a girlfriend, and he met her in Nebraska. So anyway, I'm just hoping that he gets to be on somebody's team, and if he makes it, that's great. If he's only there for training camp, he will make everyone better. And you can Google him, Damian Jackson, and I'm so proud of this kid. I mean, there's nothing that he won't. There's nothing that is going to stop him. Anyway, that's the story on him.
Yeah, we have Brent Pry, Coach. Brent Pry is the head coach at Virginia Tech, and he played at Buffalo, and he's going to be coming on tomorrow.
Well, see, I coached with his dad because his dad was one of our quarterbacks at Marshall that came from Ferrum Junior College, and then he got hurt, and he wasn't able to play, so we made him a GA, and his name is Jim Pry. And Jim ended up coaching at a number of colleges, and that's how Brett, I think, ended up wanting to be a coach, etc.
Wow, that's a small world, Coach. Chris, we got anything from Texas?
Nothing on Twitter, but I have another question.
Okay, yeah.
Coach, I was just wondering, you talked about the boom, boom, boom shuffle step that you kind of teach, or a scoot step in your inside zone. I've seen some other comments. What aiming points do you teach with your hands, and like where they should be looking?
Well, it all depends on the aiming point of the back. Okay. So the thing that's best, if you're in the gun or in the pistol, okay, is to run right up the butt of the center. The only reason I say that is that the center's man, if he's on a shade, on his shoulder, he doesn't have to get all the way in front of him to block him, okay? He can almost, hit him in the gut and torque him out because the ball's coming up the center's butt. Once your landmark is up the butt of the front side guard, now you're one hole wider, and now it's almost like an old inside zone from the dot or from behind the quarterback. So basically, the inside zone, if you're running up the butt of the center or the backside leg of the center, which a lot of people do teach, then really the front side of your play is really up the gut to the backside guard to the backside tackle, whether you're reading the end or not reading the end, etc. So what I'm saying is it all depends on the landmark of the back. When you run a wider course, like they do a lot of those RPOs and read the linebacker, the blockers are ahead of the running back. And unless you're playing a team that you're better at, you can never really coordinate the blocking with the back when he's running laterally, like trying to run like almost a jet action or run wide from the gun. But so the bottom line with the inside zone, I like the landmark at the butt of the center. And then what I like more than anything else is, let's say that I am blocking a guy that's right on me, okay? Wherever he is, okay? He's right on me, okay? And I'm a guard, okay? I like that guard to take him, okay? And torque him. And the next guy come like the center and knock him sideways. You'll make a bigger hole than trying to knock him that way, because most of the time, the guy that's playing over you is coming into you or two-gapping him. So instead of trying to just take his momentum against him and move him laterally, because one guy's like the post guy and the other guy's like the drive guy, and you'll create a bigger hole than you would if you were trying to, whatever, we call that a torque and a hammer. Now that's different if you're seeing a team that does a lot of slanting, etc. But like if I was a center on the inside zone and I'm uncovered, okay, my footwork would be like this, okay? I'm the center. Okay, I gotta be like there. Okay, so let's say I'm moving this. I want to move this way. Okay, so when I'm moving this way, I would be totally square. Okay, my feet wouldn't turn out quite that, but I'd be totally square. I'd shuffle square, and then I'd hit that one technique with a high leg. I'd hit that one technique, high leg. My shoulders would be totally square, and I would come off on the backer. I wouldn't turn my pads and run like this on an angle. Okay, so I would be square. Okay, zone is zone. And I would always have the front side guard, even if he had a man on him, as he's blocking him, as he's blocking that guy that's on him. Okay, I'd always have him look to the gap. And if the end pinched, I guess I've got to go this way. I got to go this way. If the end pinched, okay, I would block him with my shoulder or my hand or whatever. So what I'm saying is I would stay as square as I can for as long as I can, knowing that the aiming point of the inside zone is almost to the old mid zone, like they used to run the zone option where they'd be like the quarterback would like reverse pivot and fake the zone and keep it and pitch it and all that stuff. So, but again, it all depends on the landmark of the running back. The tighter the running back is, then the back guard and tackle can almost be front side blockers because you're going to, now if everybody pinched, the ball could jump outside. If the one technique pinched, the ball will jump outside because he'll cross your face. But when you're trying to run up the center's butt, the center, the front guard, and the front tackle, they have an easy block because all they got to do is turn their guys out because you're not trying to run over the front side guard. If you're trying to run over the front side guard, that's more of a play when the running back is behind the quarterback in what we call the dot, and he uses the old kind of open crossover plant. Then the guard would cover the guy up totally cover the whole body up, okay? Because you're right at the point of attack. But I mean, that's a lot of stuff. But again, it's all the landmark of the runner.
Okay.
And it's what you're trying to do backside. I'll tell you what's close to impossible, because I know I've tried it all. You know how they want the quarterback to pull the ball and he doesn't have anybody to pitch it. They just want him to keep it by himself. If that end closes and that backer scrapes, that tackle can never get that guy. Never, ever, ever. Now, if the guy's slow scraping, the tackle's quick, the guy's not very good, the end closes, the quarterback pulls it, that linebacker is going to make the tackle. That tackle can never get up on him on time. Now, if you got a pitch man, if you're going to throw it, if you're reading that guy and you're not zoning, that's a different story. But good defensive teams can kill you if you're just asking the quarterback to pull it and keep it by himself.
Oh yeah, definitely. What do you teach the backside tackle? You know, if that's a hard tendency of the defense, do you teach the backside tackle to stay heavy on the D end, or what do you teach to?
No, I mean we're if it was a tight zone, we're always blocking the backside end.
Okay.
Whether you're bringing somebody back, whether if you're reading him, okay, then we would never. I mean, nowadays, if you're reading the end and you pull it, you're going to have somebody to block that scrape back, or whether you're going to have a tight end arc release to block them, whether you're going to have a guy from the front side come back, like what the Redskins were doing with RG3 back 10 years ago. Yeah, yes. I think that I don't know what you do. I think, I mean, because you're going to get picked. So when you take your footwork and all of a sudden that end pinches, he's behind you. I don't know what to do. I mean, you would almost have to pass block first, but then you can't double the 3 technique, because that's where you're going to create some of your movement. So I think if you're going to run, if the quarterback's going to read the end, he needs somebody to throw it to, somebody to pitch it to. So he cannot just come out there naked against a good team, because they'll just crash the end. And and they got a 3 technique now. So that tackle's got to hit that 3. And then he can't get that scrape backer if he does a good job. Now, maybe you got a play action pass and you throw the ball, where that backer scraped and all that stuff. But I don't have the answer to that. I've done many, many, many studies and many projects on how does the back guard block the tackle on the zone read if there's no pitch man or no man to throw the ball. And I could not find. Now, if the guy just stood there, he could block him. Okay. If the end came way upfield, okay, like it was a give, he could block him. But when it was a pull read, he never blocked him. Now, what the quarterback did do is kind of duck inside of the scrape and make a play, because he was a better athlete.
Chris, you got any follow-ups with that? Because, I mean, I think, Coach, that might be the reason people started running those glances or those slants.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody runs. Nobody just has. Now, occasionally, the quarterback will keep the ball on a naked type of a play. They reverse pivot like on a power roll, and they just let the quarterback keep the ball, because everybody's closing and crashing.
Yeah.
But pure zone read team that the defense has time to practice, and that's what they're making their living on, or trying to, and there's no pitch man. I mean, I don't know, why would you ever run a play where you just let the quarterback, unless the linebacker didn't scrape, maybe the linebacker went with the team, or maybe the linebacker's in the A gap.
Yeah.
Okay. And the linebacker's in the A gap, and tackling guard can combo to him, but when the quarterback pulls it, there's going to be somebody else there to tackle him. Now he might be a deeper safety or corner, and maybe the quarterback can out-juke him because, so, I mean, I probably would only run it if the linebacker was in the A gap, period. Because the lineman in the A gap, there's going to be somebody in the C gap. Now, whether it's a safety coming down low or whatever, now that guy's going to have a harder time tackling him than a closer linebacker that's in the normal B gap.
I have a question about pass protection, but I want to ask you about Coach Buddy Ryan. When you went to the University of Buffalo, Coach, can you tell us a little bit about Coach Buddy Ryan?
Buddy Ryan was my coach for as long as I was on the varsity. And he liked to use a lot of little slangs like you can't ride him in the chute. I don't know what the hell that means, but they know what that means. They know what that means in Texas. I know you can't ride that bull in when he's in the chute, right? Or you can't ride a horse when he's at the Kentucky Derby, but you can't ride him in the chute. He used the word, he called everybody a worm, you worm. But he knew my name. He called me McNally. I'm McNally. But the more he got into the pros, I think it was more his shtick. He pretended like he didn't know anybody's name unless they were defensive players. I think he knew their name, but he would give the illusion that he's a defensive coach and he didn't give a damn about the offense. And but he was a smart guy. But he was he had that Southern draw. He's from Oklahoma. I mean, I think he went to junior college at Oklahoma, C&M junior college, wherever the hell he went, and. I think he went to Oklahoma State and he played football and he was in the Marine Corps or the Army and he coached a little bit in the service. And then he coached high school football in Texas. How he got to Buffalo, I have no idea, other than we hired him. And but he was you loved the guy. You loved playing for him. He had that Southern draw and he would pat you on the back when you did something good, and when you did something bad, he wasn't as much of a yeller or screamer as he was a lot of this stuff. I mean, you talk about headbutting. I mean, now, I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if I go this way or
that way.
Okay, it wasn't like that when I was a child. Okay. And when he got rid of me, or when we got rid of him, I mean, we had those Riddell helmets. I mean, I've got to have had 100 concussions. I don't know why I don't have CTE now, but we had a drill called not Bull in the Ring. We had a drill called Blood Alley. Okay. This is no shit now. So you're the tackler, okay? You're getting ready to tackle. So you go up and fire your feet and gather, and the guy, the running back would run at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you would tackle, or he might juke you and you might miss him. And so that's why it was a good drill. I mean, and then he had another guy.
Yeah, machine gun.
You had him. The other guy came and fucking killed him. Yes.
Yeah, that we call it machine gun. How many guys in a row is it, Coach? About 10, 15, as many as he wants?
Well, I mean, we did it. We did it for, it was a time period. We did it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever the time period was for that drill. But I know we ran off a lot of freshman backs. Yeah, because those were the guys that were running the ball.
Yeah. When do you switch defensive players? How many running backs got to go through before you switch defensive guys?
Well, I think there was a tackler and a defensive guy. Boom, you went the shot.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And there was a guy waiting to clean up. Okay. Then the next crew went in. The next tackler, the next running back, and the next guy to clean up went. You know, you just kind of rotated.
Yeah.
You got in a line, and you were either the blocker or the cleanup guy. You know what
Was
I'm
the
saying?
cleanup guy an offensive guy or a defensive guy?
Defensive guy.
Oh
Because
yeah,
he was the next guy. You tackled the guy, and then the other guy came. Because
yeah.
when you make a tackle,
I mean, that's
everybody
football.
tries to make the tackle, right?
Yeah, you got to. That's football.
Yeah, it was hard. We had a drill. I was a one technique. We played the wide tackle 6, and I can remember to date. He had me flexed, and I was a small guy. I weighed about 210 at the most. So I'm off the ball, almost like a linebacker. I would step for the guard, and I'd read the center. Okay?
Yeah.
And when the center would block back on me, I'd go right around his head. Okay? Because I was kind of flexed, all right?
Yeah.
If no one blocked me, I closed the trap, with my wrong arm.
Yeah.
But there was nobody between me and the other 2 technique, which is really a 1. Well, I don't know why they called us a 2. If they ran up the middle and split us, we were screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we
So
played the
like
wide tackle 6.
Is that like a read slant where you're reading the opposite guy and you're crossing his face if he back blocks on you because a back block's coming?
We stepped for the guard, and I read the center. If the
So
center,
almost like playing a 7.
if the center blocked back at me, I stepped right around him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never touched me.
So
But if the guard wanted to block down on you, you may have been eliminated, but that's okay. You cover that one. You cover that A gap.
You got the A gap.
Yeah.
Don't get moved out of there. So as far as pass protection scheme, like I had Morgan Moses that played for Coach Callahan with the Redskins, and I asked him, I said, Mo, what do y'all do? Do y'all half slide? He said, Coach, we just end up blocking the guy in front of us. I mean, is it that simple, Coach? I mean,
there are some protections where if it's a play action pass, you might double team a guy, or
drop back.
Yeah, or you might have some gap protection. But basically, the tackle's got the end. But that's Morgan Moses making it a little simple. The tackle goes on the end and they run a TE, you switch.
Yeah.
Or you're on a sort protection where you got 3 blockers for 4 defenders. And the end pitches inside and the tackle picks up the corner blitz, blah, blah, blah. When you're sorting or, you got 6-man protection and they bring 7. So there's a lot of double reading and et cetera. But, you're basically keying your man for the initial move, but that's drop back pass protection. You get into all the other stuff, then you're getting into gap type protection, double team type protection, play action type protection. Well, a lot of play action protection, the quarterback hardly even fakes. He just gives a little mesh fake. I don't know what it even does for the fake. It doesn't do anything. I mean, you wouldn't even use play action. You wouldn't even fire. I mean, you would use your normal protection. You might jump and fire out like you would on a normal protection, but it has to be a hard ball fake for you to really fire. You'd have to sell it, like sell 42 ISO.
Yes, sir.
If you just said pass 42 ISO, well, that might be different. If you said sell it, then you would sell the run.
Yeah, I got a couple X's and O questions for you, Coach. The protection where like the running back's on the right and the quarterback fakes it to the left and the offensive line goes to the right and the right guard basically blocks the end man on the line of scrimmage. So it ends up being like almost like full slide and the backside guard is going to block the end man on the line of scrimmage and the quarterback stays in the pocket. How do you feel about that? I know Alabama.
That fits in with how they bring somebody back to block the backside, like on an inside zone. Okay, so you would have the same assignment, except the problem is when you don't assign specific men and you just go to the gap. Sometimes the defensive guy doesn't stay in the gap. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
He hits this gap and he goes to the next gap, and then there might be 2 guys in a gap. So I like protection whether you're selling it or not, you're blocking exact guys.
Yeah.
The only issue is if you got to block a corner blitz or something, and the tackle, you know how you run a naked and the quarterback fakes and then keeps it. That if you could block the play, but then you're in charge of a corner cat or somebody coming off the edge. So then you got to turn your pads and block on an angle. So you're really kind of blocking a gap. And those are the protections that break down the most when you're not man for man blocking. Now, if you get a cue that the corner's coming, then you might make an adjustment and then, recount or do something like that. But most of the naked type protections, when you're just going to a gap, there's a lot of guys free.
Mm-hmm. I can remember watching the Patriots play when Brady played for them. This was years ago, but I saw the quarterback opening up like it was inside zone to the right, and they were blocking inside zone to the left. And then I found out that play is called duo, which
Duo,
power no pull. Power no pull.
I invented duo.
There you go, Coach. You invented it. So what?
I invented
is
duo.
it power no pull, or is it just? What is it, Coach? How did you come up with it?
Power is no pull. So the bottom line is, if you see a 7-man box and you got a fullback and a tight end, then the fullback's got to block the Sam. Whether you put them up on the line in a wing, or you get them in the backfield, it's a 7-man protection. Now, if you run it from 11 personnel, like, you have one tight end and 3 wide receivers, and they walk a linebacker out, you can run 6-man duo. So you're double teaming. You have 2 double teams, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you have a tight end, you really have the fullback kicking out the Sam or blocking the Sam. The tight end's got the end, the guard and tackle double to the Mike, the center and guard double to the Will. And then you have duo pass. But duo, the problem with the duo is the tight end over the years has had problem blocking like a 7 technique by himself.
Yeah.
But if you peel the fullback in a wing, if you bring them in and out, you can kick out that defensive end and release the tight end to block the backer, like an outside release.
Like arc release. You're arc releasing the tight end.
You can arc release the tight end and peel the fullback in and out to kick out the end. But the 7 that's why most of your duo plays end up bouncing outside. Yeah. And then the running back, if he can outrun the Mike, or the Sam, he's going to make yards. But then you got to block the force. You got to block the secondary force too.
Coach, it just blows my mind that I'm talking to the guy that invented duo. How did that come about, Coach? How did you think about doing this? What does it originate from power no pull, or does it originate from?
Well, when I was working with Mike Pope, he was at the New York Giants, and they used to line up with a tight end, a tight end, a tight end, and everybody blocked down. It was more like just a power play, but they didn't call it. They didn't call it whatever they called it. So then we just decided let's just take that 3rd tight end and get him out of there, and then put that fullback in the backfield. You can put him in the eye. You can put him in the strong. Like, you can make it look like power. But the only problem with it is that, the issues you have with pulling a guard, you would not have. You know what I mean? But you still have to use it's a play that doesn't usually get minus yards.
Yes,
it's going to make 2 yards. Hopefully it makes 10 yards. But it generally doesn't get a minus.
If there's a backer that's unblocked in the hole, is that the running back's guy? Does he read that guy like some people?
No, there should be nobody unblocked unless there's too many in the box.
Okay, I understand, Coach. Yeah, that's fascinating to me. Let me ask you this, Coach. If I'm the right tackle and we're running power to the right and I got a 3 technique, how different is it if I'm playing right tackle and we're running power to the right and I got to help on that 3 technique? How different is it than running inside zone to the left if I'm the right tackle and I got to block that 3 technique. Is zone blocking, I got a gap to my play side, and gap blocking,
Well, it's pretty much the same. It's just that if you can make the running back, if the running back can make his initial approach look the same, then it really is the same.
Oh man! So the shoulders are square, and we're getting a vertical double team on the 3 technique.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, if you ran duo, let's say you run up the butt of the guard. Let's say you're inside zones at the butt of the center. I mean, and so you're running inside zone left or same side duo. Same side duo.
Yeah.
Same blocking.
It's wow, coach. Man, I've gotten into so many arguments. I don't argue football, but people try to tell me, well, on power, we're gapping. We're gapping the guy down to the next gap. I'm like, well, dude, what's the difference? It's a vertical double team, whether we're running inside zone to the right we're running power to the right or inside zone to the left. So thank you, coach. Rich Kelly, coach.
But you see, if you're running, I would only run duo along with inside zone. I wouldn't try to incorporate the power with it.
Yeah, duo, coach.
Too many.
So you're into one scheme, a zone scheme. You don't believe in doing gap.
No. I did gap. I do gap, but I wouldn't try to make. If I tried to make 2 plays look the same, it would be same side duo from the gun or inside zone left. Well, just run 1 play. You don't need both plays. So if I was running the power, I would run that as its own self because you're pulling people.
Yeah. Rich Kelly says, love it. Rich Kelly, you sent me about 3 questions to ask Coach McNally. You sent them to me, so this is your opportunity to ask Coach McNally whatever you want. Chris, you got anything that you want to ask?
Kind of just went over it with duo. So I'm sitting there thinking of what else to ask. Been live tweeting coaches' coaching points on different things as well.
Coach, the one thing that I really noticed is this deal that like the Eagles, how good they were running the quarterback sneak. I mean, that's the old wedge play. What are the coaching points on that they're doing?
Well, I guess you would call quarterback sneak right or left or whatever, right? You probably have to tell the center, which center's got 2 guys in the gap, okay? Well, he probably ought to favor 1. If he goes straight ahead, he won't block anybody, right?
Yeah.
So all they got is, I don't know how many guys push the running back. I mean, whether it's a tight end, a wide receiver, or whatever. I mean, they try to get as many guys as they can. You got to have 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. You can put as many guys as you want, I think, behind the quarterback and just push the shit out of him. I mean, if you got a 220-pound quarterback or more, you're going to make a first down every time.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Cullen, who's the defensive line coach for the Chiefs, he used to coach here at University of Richmond, and he's an animal. And I mean, the Chiefs knew it was coming, coach. And now that you can aid the runner, I mean, it's like almost unstoppable. Rich Kelly wants to know, coach, zone, wind back play, counter zone, coaching points. What are your coaching points on the zone wind back play?
We would do those like we would call whatever the double team would be.
50 Bob Scissors.
Deuce, bluff, reverse deuce. So the point is, you would block it. The backside, you'd block like the front side. I mean, like the backside guard and tackle versus a 3 technique and a linebacker. The guard would block him as if he's blocking, let's say, front side of duo or front side of power. Okay, because when the ball winds back, you want that tackle to kiss off and come off real fast. And you want that guard to, head fake or jab inside, then get all of the guy and try to twist him inside and the other guy kiss off. So you're like dicking the guy. You're false keying him, whatever, I'd have to demonstrate it.
So, Rich, do you have any other questions about that? The zone wind back play, counter zone, 50 Bob Scissors coaching points. I mean, the Bob Scissors coach, I mean.
I invented that, scissors.
Yeah. Okay. He says, I taught it like split zone, but the fullback would read the defensive end. That's what Rich Kelly says.
Well, when we would block the defensive end, I mean, we would always block the defensive end on scissors, okay? Now, you could release the tight end and somebody could pull and trap him, but usually the first puller was in charge of perhaps the force. The second puller was in charge of the, because we would pull a fullback and a guard. We would pull both guards. We'd call it double scissors. We did all kinds of things. I did that with Tiki Barber at the Giants. You talk to Tiki Barber. You'll ask him his favorite play. He'll tell you scissors. So we ran scissors a million different ways. We ran it to the weak side. When there was a shade or a one technique, we'd have the guard and the tackle false key up to the backer, and the tackle would pass set the end. And then the back would start and then cut back in that hole between the end and the one. So we called that single scissors. The tight end is going to single block the defensive end. But generally with all of our, if we ran versus a guard bubble, let's say we wanted to run the ball and it would go to a guard bubble, like a 50 defense. The tackle and tight end would dick block to the mic, and the guard would pull and trap the outside backer. So there would be a case where we'd pull and block the outside backer. Guard bubble to the side of the play, it's either the off guard would pull them or the on guard. And we would use plays like a fake 40, fake 17 Bob C scissors. That would mean the call side guard would pull. Fake 43, the left guard would pull. We'd go fake 43 P scissors. The play side guard would pull. The play side guard is the guard to the side the play ends up with. We'd say fake 42, whatever, or fakes 37, or whatever the fuck we'd want to say, both scissors. We'd pull both guards, but we only pulled both guards versus an over defense, where there was a 3 on the play side and a shade. Then we could pull both guards. The tackle could block down. The tight end could block the 7. The front guard could pull. The other guard could pull. So the front side guard on scissors is the guard to the side the play ends up.
Yeah. Chris, you got anything?
Look, the scissors is a 2-hour clinic.
Yes.
I would confuse people unless I could draw and show. And
okay, Coach, we got Dave Keeney. I don't know if remember Dave. Dave used to coach at Penn State and UVA. How does Coach McNally teach a drive block, and how does he place his hands versus head up D lineman and versus an outside shade alignment?
Where's the ball going?
So
where's the ball going?
Yeah, that's a good question, Coach. Because nowadays, most people don't practice play side, he says.
I'm saying is the drive block depends on where the ball's going. Am I zone blocking, man blocking? The guy pitches, I'm going to miss him, right? So I better have somebody coming with me, okay? If the ball's going up the middle, the tackle would use a different technique on a 5 technique than if the ball was going off tackle.
Dave said man blocking, Coach.
Where's the ball going?
If you're the right guard, it's hitting in the B gap, Dave. Is that what you're saying? Like it's an ISO to the right, and I'm playing right guard, and I got a 2 technique, a head up on me. Is that what? I guess that's what you're asking. Like, let's say the ball's being ran in the B gap, and I'm the right guard, and I got a head up.
He's got to know where the ball's going.
Yeah, he said yes. B, Coach. That reminds me of Paul Bear Bryant. Are you, Coach? This team we play, they run a B gap ISO. He's like, are you sure? Yes. He goes, well, I'll show you what to run. And he draws up 11 guys in the B gap.
Okay. If I'm going to drive block, okay. The first thing, in fact, the most powerful drive block, the guy's right over me, right over the top of me. Okay. I got thousands of video clips, and I'm not necessarily a proponent of it, but I've seen it because very rarely is there a guy right head up with this. There's a 3 technique, a 5 technique, blah, blah, blah. Your strongest, most powerful block. Okay. Now watch what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to hop back. You see what I just did? Both feet hopped back. That lowered my center of gravity and gave me the surge. Boom, 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 boom. It's almost like you just lunged into the block. Okay? You didn't even move your feet. Okay? The more you drop both feet, the more extension you get on the uncoil. Okay? And if I were to, I guess we would use the double under, but a lot of guys grab our shoulder, grab the shoulder. So my lead hand would be more of a don't let him grab that shoulder, okay? So that lead hand would be more boom, and my second hand would be under, like a double under, no more of this.
Yeah, did you invent that? Who invented that?
This is pushing.
Yeah.
Pushing. This is lifting. Who
invented that?
I would lift, and I'd hop back.
Who invented that, Coach? Did you come up with that using the med balls and coming up instead of this?
I invented the double under.
Okay, good. I'm glad I got the guy right here, Coach, that invented the double under. Okay, Ray Dayton has got a very specific question. Chris, you got anything?
Just real quick, just on the hop back, is that the first thing that they do, Coach? The first.
Well, it's all one motion. I'm just saying, you got a squared up, damn.
2 technique, head up guard.
Technique. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Or 0. I mean,
it's head up. You just want to blow off on them, all right? So it's all one action. It's okay. You're in your stance, whether you're in your 2-point stance or a 3-point stance or whatever. So the ball is snapped, and you just lunge. All right. So as you're lunging simultaneously, boom. So you have to hop first. I mean, your feet would go back first. So what that does, that lengthens whatever that space is that brings your hips through. If I just bring my hips through here, okay, boom. But if I give myself more distance, almost like I'm going to fall on my face, my lunge is stronger and greater.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Ray Dayton wants to know this.
I love Ray Dayton. He talks to me all the time.
Hey, Coach, Ray Dayton was in my class last week, and I told him, I said, you see this class? It reminds you of the one that flew over the cuckoo's nest, don't it? Coach, they don't even know that movie, Coach. But he was on my podcast, Coach. Ray Dayton was on my podcast last week. Mid-zone from the gun, sidecar. What are the coaching points for the back and the O-line?
Sidecar. Is that gun?
Offset. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Offset running back.
Okay. Well, that's a 2-hour clinic. And well, it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Coach, are we going to?
I want to do a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a 5 technique? Is there a 3 technique? Are they pinching? Are they pirating? I'm just saying I can't do it. I mean,
Coach.
I can do it in a one-on-one conversation with that coach and do the best job I can. But I mean, is the backside blockers, are they going to skip technique to get depth? I mean, is everybody going to zone when they pirate or pinch? What about the cross face? The nose cross faces the center. okay, and the center goes to block him and he misses him, okay? Is the backside guard going to be involved? I mean, I'm not trying to be a smartass. I'm just saying is if I had a specific exact question on the mid zone, a particular blocker versus a particular technique,
yes,
I could answer that question and not spend 2 hours on that topic on this podcast.
Yeah, right now, y'all, tonight, pretty much, Coach came on here. He wants to make y'all aware that he is on Twitter at Coach McNally OL on Twitter. He is a Twitter guru now. He's the master of Twitter. All right, he might even be taking over.
Yeah, but I don't want to screw that guy that wanted to know about the mid zone from the sidecar.
Coach, that's Ray Dayton. Ray Dayton wants to know about it.
That's too much. Ray knows. He's talked to me before. He asked me full-blown questions on plays that he and I have corresponded over and over many times. It's a 2-hour clinic.
Yeah, Coach. Well, that's why, Coach, that Coach is in the process right now of being able to have private clinics with guys. So we can do a 2-hour private clinic on certain subjects. And Coach, we're going to arrange that with Coach. This was just something that we did today for Coach to get his following up on Twitter and also to let y'all know he has videos on CoachTube.
Yes, but let me say again, my best videos are my most recent. The older ones aren't, I'm not saying they're good, but I've changed quite a bit. The best thing I got are my 250 mini clips.
Well, what is different?
Well, see, if these coaches will have some patience, I can throw on a video or two every day. And it's the only problem is they're voiced over. And I don't know if when I send a video clip that's got voice on it, if I send it to Twitter, will that also voice over?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I can send 2 or 3 a day.
I just met Coach 3 days ago, and we got his Twitter going. We got Chris here from the Texas high school football chat, and Coach is on Twitter. Coach is going to be having private clinics where you can book him to do a 2-hour clinic on the scissors or a 2-hour clinic on the mid zone. But if anybody has any particular,
but the problem you got is how do we do it so they can see me draw, demonstrate? I do not use a computer. I got an iPad, I got an iPhone. So what would we have to do? And we'd have to set that iPhone so far away from me that they could, or I'd have to move a table, right? Because they'd have to see my whole body, right?
Yeah, I think I could figure it out, Coach. It might take me a couple days, but I would be able to figure it out, I think.
Now, we're not talking about any money. We're not the only thing I'm talking about money is if for some reason that I did a clinic or I did Zoom or I did a podcast and I got 200 coaches and we charged them $10 a piece or something. I mean, eventually I can't keep doing this all day without getting paid. And right now I don't mind doing it. I mean, I'll send out clips, I'll send out thoughts, I'll send out ideas, but eventually whether I charge $1, I don't care, but you know.
Yeah. I mean we're going to figure it out. Me and Coach, we're a team.
Well, you know, CoachTube, they feel that there's a way that they can get my videos and get them transferred but I mean, I'm better like just doing what I'm doing now. You know
you love it. You love it, Coach.
For free. I mean,
you
know what I mean? And the coach asked me a specific question. Coach, I got a 5 technique, okay? I want the tight end to block down on the 5 technique, and I want to pull the tackle. What would you do? I can answer that question. Yeah. That's better than say, hey, Coach, can you tell me how you run the G play? Jesus Christ. I mean, what the fuck? I mean,
Coach,
that's not fair.
Coach, I liked what you told me last night.
it's not fair.
Yeah, I liked what you told me last night when I asked you about 0, 1, 2, 3. Center blocks 0, guard blocks 1, tackle blocks 2, tight end blocks 3, and you said we block the front. Go over that, Coach. What you mean by that?
Well, what I'm saying is they're taught what a 3-4 is. They're taught what an over is. They're taught what a 1 technique is. They're taught what a 3 technique is. They're taught what a solid
bear
defense is. Like a bear with 1 middle backer, or there's 2 4 eyes. The look that's a look that whatever that defense is called. Giant or 34 or over, under, whatever it is. So we got to play. The play is called X. I don't care if it's 42 lead or whatever the hell the play it is. All right. Here's how you block it versus an over. Here's how you block it versus an under. Here's how you. Well, they're not fucking stupid. I mean, you know what I mean? I got a man on me. I'm uncovered. Okay. All right. If it's a 3-4 defense, the center and guard double team the nose. Okay, if it's an over defense, the tackle and guard, tight tackle and guard, double team the 3 technique. I mean, it's very simple. You block the look.
You block the look.
All that other fucking bullshit is too complicated.
Yeah.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we got an extra blocker. No, you kick it. No, somebody's got to block the force. The force is the defender in the perimeter that comes down and is a pain in the fanny and makes a tackle, like a good safety. Okay. Well, how are we going to count for that guy?
Yeah.
Are we just going to let the back outrun him, or is somebody going to come in motion to block him, or are we going to jet sweep to him to occupy? I mean, so, when you got 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. Okay. Do they keep 6 in the box? Like you got 6 blockers? Okay. Or do they have 7 in the box? You don't have enough blockers? Yeah, but if your quarterback's carrying the ball on a wildcat, it's not a big deal because the other back can be a blocker. So when the wildcat plays are really the best running plays if you have a good running quarterback or a good running wildcat guy, because the remaining back can block.
Yeah. Watching the second half of the Super Bowl and the Chiefs offense, Coach, just being a football historian, I was like, wow. I mean, they pulled out some old tricks. I mean, they were running under the center, counter tray. They ran so much counter. Tell me what you think.
I got to get a pill. I'll be right back.
Okay, Coach. So I want to ask Coach about what he thought about the Chiefs offense in the second half of the Super Bowl. Because, I mean, they ran so much counter. Like the Chiefs' offense in the second half of the Super Bowl, Coach, I felt like I was watching the history of football. And, I mean, the execution was awesome.
Andy Reid is a genius. I mean, anybody can come up with plays, but he seems to have the most nerve at saying, hey, let's put our thinking caps together and let's come up with some. I mean, and he's
Andy Heck. Andy Heck is
Reid.
Andy Reid. Andy Reid's the head coach. Andy Heck is the O-line coach of the Chiefs.
Yes, but
okay.
I don't know who the brains is. I'm sure Andy Heck's a good coach. I know him.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying to you, maybe Bieniemy, maybe Andy, maybe together, maybe they're all in a staff room together. Maybe Andy Reid tells some quality control coach, hey, look at the last 10 games that everybody's played and give us a new play.
What did you see when you watched the Super Bowl and the Chiefs?
I saw a shitty call on the last play when they called holding.
Oh, why do they pause it? Is it to make it look more like a hold every time?
I don't know. All I know is, and I didn't have a favorite team. All I know, it was a horseshit call, and I don't care what they say in the papers, what the officials say. The guy wrapped his hand around him a little bit. I think the ball was overthrown anyway.
Yes.
It was a horseshit call. And another semi-horseshit call was the previous week when the Bengal linebacker pushed Mahomes out.
Oh.
Now, he did push him. I will admit that. But I don't think he was trying to. But, I mean, I guess you have to make that call. But that call, that one call cost the Bengals the game.
Yeah, both calls helped the Chiefs win.
No question. And I don't think the refs are crooked. I'm just saying I think in particular that last call was a bad call. They ought to let you bump and run up to 10 yards. They only allow 5 yards. So anything after 5 yards is very suspicious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The coach, I watched that whole game with my team, the highlights, the 15-minute highlights on YouTube, and the receiver did not even cry. He did not cry at all. He didn't throw up his hand. He didn't put his hand, cry to the referees. Mahomes was crying, but the receiver never cried. And I don't know why anybody didn't say that, but coach, how do you, as a coach, handle that when the referees blow a call like that? What do some coaches do? Do they go crazy? Do you not
I can't because they'll get a penalty or they'll get thrown out of the game. So they just bitch a little and then you go to the next play.
Okay. So let them know how you feel.
I think, maybe of course, see, every time you send the call back upstairs or to New York, that all takes time. And this new league I saw the other day, the XFL, they have a running clock. Get the game over faster. Too many timeouts, too many TV commercials, but that's the way they make their money, right? That's the way the NFL makes the money. That's why they can pay the players a lot. It's all TV. It isn't the 70,000 you put in the stands. It's the TV money.
Yeah, Coach. Coach Bald said he loves your hat. He loves your hat on President's Day. And how do you feel, Coach, being an American football coach? I mean, I think the name American football, it's even more important now. We are Americans, and we're the only ones that play this game. Being a coach that's coached major college, pro football for over 50 years. You proud?
The only thing I didn't like is, and I'm talking about white players, black players, green players, blue players. When all that stuff went on about the national anthem and all that stuff, and that I didn't like that. I mean, and I certainly understand a cause. I understand a cause, and I understand all the issues with police and all that stuff. But that kind of hurt me, because it is the US of A. Even though we're kind of screwed up now, that bothered me a little bit.
Yeah, Coach, I totally understand, and I mean, you've been in this game so long. Coach Bald wanted to know, Coach. He asked, who was your most physically dominant guy that you coached and why? And then there's another question.
I coached the greatest player to ever play his position. His name is Anthony Munoz. If you Google the top 100 players, okay, now he may not be one, but if you Google the top offensive lineman in the history of football, he'll come up number one.
Why is he number one, Coach?
Well, he was 6'6", he was 310, he was quick, athletic, smart, strong. He got 26 pancakes one game, and they weren't all on the run.
I mean, what was it, a coach or was it him? Was he just coachable?
It was him. Oh, well, I might, if you ask him, he'll tell you that I was a big part of him, but it was him.
I mean, is he as close to a perfect offensive lineman as there is?
There's no perfect offensive lineman. They're all going to get beat. They're all going to go the wrong way or take the wrong step, but he's as close as probably there ever. Now, there's a lot of other great ones. Jonathan Ogden, Jason Peters, John Hanna. probably the best offensive guard in football. Dwight Stevenson, maybe the best center to ever play. But don't forget, times have changed.
Yeah.
Techniques have changed. Everything changes. You know what I'm saying to you? So, you know, what some big tackle might have done 30 years ago, you know, maybe it's more refined now. So it's all time calibrated, actually.
You tweeted something out about that you are, you know, closer to the new school coaches, that about these coaches that get set in a way, you know, it's got to be like,
no. Well, I probably should have rephrased it, that I am a new school coach. I don't think I meant that I'm closest with the new school coach, that when I coach or when I answer a question, I try to answer it with the most updated techniques that are the best in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that somebody else's technique or play doesn't work either. You know what I'm saying to you? I just know more about the body than I've ever known, and how it works, and how when you strike and hit and block, you know, because the body, you've got 2 feet, you got 2 hands, you got long arms, you got short arms, you know, you got a helmet, you got a head, and the body can move in a million different ways. And so anyway, like one arm is longer than 2. So when I'm striking, obviously, okay, you see, I'm going to put 2 hands out, okay? Now I'm going to put 1 hand out. It's much longer. So one of my favorite pass blocks, which I invented, or at least refined, is called the up kick. That's where you step forward with your outside foot and you lock out your outside hand. Your outside hand and your outside foot is the closest thing to the guy on your outside shoulder. Okay, not your kick step, which I also invented. Okay, kick slide. I don't even do the power step anymore.
so
because
what do you do?
When you power step, you lock your hips. When the guy goes inside, I drop my post foot as if I'm the other guard, because then I can move.
So you're basically like becoming the center. You're switching your post foot.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if I had to block a 2 or a 1 or a shade and I'm the right guard, I'm immediately going to drop my post foot and use my outside hand. I'm not going to stick my inside hand up because they're going to knock it down. And that's a direct route to the quarterback.
You have probably studied the best D linemen of all time. You know, guys like Warren Sapp and Sue and Aaron Donald.
I can't tell you who's the best.
Yeah, but like these guys, when they make the most plays, it seems like that they avoid offensive linemen. They don't even make contact with the offensive linemen. So is it harder having a defensive line that avoids you and slants and than it is that just takes you on?
Well, depends on how big and how strong they are. I mean, you take a guy like Dave Butts, rest in peace. He was a great big guy. You take a guy like Louis Kelcher, who played for the San Diego Chargers. He was like 370 pounds back 30 years ago. So it's all depending on the player. Aaron Donald is more of a gap player. You know what I mean? Split the gaps, this, that, and the other. Now, when he 2-gap, but he can also bull rush you. So he's got the best of both worlds. But like I say, a lot of people have these great big guys that they play on early downs to stop the run. Like Baltimore has got big defensive tackles. You know, other teams have got usually 1 or 2 big guys. You know what I mean? Where you go to block them, you can't even budge them. You know what I mean? But they can't rush the passer. So
a high school, because we probably have a lot of high school coaches. For a high school coach,
you got to play your best players,
and you don't have size. Should you be in avoiding defensive line?
Yes, sir. You should be slanting and pirating and pinching.
Okay, yeah, I don't want anybody else doing this, Coach. Yeah. That's the hard. That's the reason you zone block. That's the reason you don't fire out.
Absolutely.
That's the reason
Man blocking does not work when the defense moves because you get picked.
Yeah, I think Woody Hayes learned that, didn't he, Coach Joe Bugle? I mean, how long ago did they start doing this?
No, I don't know that Joe Bugle taught. Maybe Woody Hayes taught you what Joe Bugle. So who knows?
Nobody liked to run the ball more than him, right, Coach?
Back in the day, he said there's like 3 things that can go wrong when you throw the ball, right? I mean, it could be incomplete, it could be intercepted, or maybe that was it. But I thought he said there were 3 things.
Incomplete. Yeah, drop it. Yeah, all 3 of them are bad. Chris, you got anything for Coach?
No, I think, man, it's been great. I don't have any other questions, and
Coach,
from here, I've enjoyed every minute of it.
I want to ask you, because I had a young coach ask me.
Last question.
This is it. Last question, Coach. I had a young coach ask me. He said, my last 2 head jobs that I've had was a lot easier, but at this job now, I got kids that tell me that I cannot relate to them, that I don't look like them, or I'm trying to change them. How do the greatest coaches of all time, how are they able to make an impact and coach kids that they might not look like or, have anything in common with, Coach? Because you're Coach Mouse and you've coached huge guys and all this. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I think if you had 1 or 2 of them, you can persuade them to like you or to do your techniques if your techniques work or your scheme works. When you got 20 of them, you got no chance.
So basically try to find a new job.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your scheme doesn't work.
That's the same reason why coaches can't stand parents, particularly at the little league level. I don't so much in high school. Like I think in high school, and I'm sure all the good high school coaches do it, and in college sometimes, because many of the parents don't live where the kid goes to college, but you got to have a talk with the parents. Hey, listen, if your kid's not playing, that's our decision, and stay out of the, and I don't want any bitching from you that your kid doesn't play. He can quit the team if he wants to. We're going to play who we think is the best players, blah, blah, blah. Now, the coach may be a shitty coach, okay? but the parent can't do anything about it, okay? I've just said, and the coach is a shitty coach, and then the athletic director or somebody higher up needs to see that and fire the guy. But what I'm saying is that particularly like in small fry football, little league, you're here, soccer, you see it all too. Hey, so the coach sucks. Hey, why did you hit them? I mean, that's just the way the parents are. They're called helicopter parents, right? They right over the top of the kid. You know what I'm saying to you? And now, if a coach hasn't won a game in the last 5 years, then you probably ought to fire him, and he's probably a shitty coach, But I mean, if he's, he's a winning coach, or respectable. You play 12 games and he's 7-5, 6-6, 8-4. Maybe has one bad year. He's probably a pretty good coach. All right. But the coach that keeps losing every game, something's wrong. Either he doesn't have the players or he's a bad coach. Yeah, or he's got bad coaches.
Yeah. If he's losing his coaches every year, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
I know you said last question, Coach, but I want to ask you about, for the high school kids out there that are so worried about getting recruited and getting scholarships and what they should do.
Drives me crazy.
What should they do, Coach? Preach. What's the best thing for them to focus on?
With the new portal coming out now, nobody is missed. Okay. So I think as long as they've got huddle, okay, and they've got a coach that will support them, that they ought to worry about helping their team they're on now, rather than worrying about where they're going next. But you won't talk the kids into it, because the parents are the biggest culprit. They're the ones that say, well, we got to get you on YouTube. We got to get you on
social
Huddle.
media.
Yeah, we're going to send you to offense defense camp. No, we're going to send you to football university. No, we're going to send you to so-and-so, because, you know, they want the kid to get a scholarship, obviously, or at least to get noticed. So it won't change.
So pretty much focus on what you're doing now. Good grades, work hard, be a good teammate.
Because some of these kids, it'll be the last time they play football. They won't go to college and play football. So the 4 or 5 big shots that can't wait to go those other kids look at him and say, all this kid's worried about is where he's going next. And he doesn't really give a shit whether we win or lose. And then you got, you know, let's say you got I don't know the numbers, say you got a 70-man squad, and say 60 of them are giving it their best shot, and they love football and they love whatever, and you got 10 that all they can worry about is whatever, and then you're in the same locker room, and those 50 or 60 kids love playing football, love playing for the coach. No, they're not going to play anymore, and these other 10, they putting all their energies in where they're going next. It's not a good chemistry.
So is it the same thing on the pro level that you have to deal with, or is it everybody's getting paid?
No, because they got the rules of free agency. After 3 or 4 years, after your contract's up, you can go where you get the most money. You know, this, they don't have anything yet. I mean, they're starting from scratch.
And I mean, in the colleges now, it's 1 year, go wherever you want. So I mean, that's even worse.
But I'll tell you one thing: the teams that are going to benefit the most from the portal are the teams that aren't the big time power teams. I'll tell you why: because the players that are on Alabama, Southern Cal, Notre Dame, Texas, whatever, there might be a second stringer, a third stringer that's pretty damn good. He knows he's not going to play. So the teams like the Mid-American or the other teams that are Division I, but not in the power teams, they're going to get those kids.
Yeah.
They're going to get better kids than they would if they went out to the high schools and recruited.
Yeah, it's like March Madness. I mean, sometimes there's always a team in the middle that they keep their guys for 4 years, Valparaiso, Gonzaga, and they're able to compete with the big dogs because either they got a transfer from a big school or they kept their guys, and they're just not doing one and doners. So you're right, Coach. I mean, look at TCU. I mean, I never would have thought that they would be playing in the championship. But Coach, I've had so much fun. I know you had fun coaching today. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the guys on the clinic about anything?
No. But if they ask me a question, make it a short one. You know what I mean? Don't ask me how to run the damn
mid zone
or whatever. Just give me say, Coach, you got a guy right here, because I can't do it. It's not fair. It's not fair to do that. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
Now, if they were in my living room, okay, I could do that. Okay, but not over. Well, fuck, how long gone? We've gone 2 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not fair. Now, it's not fair to them either, because they want to learn and get better, and they've got a good resource in me. But it's not the time when we got 300 guys listening to how many guys. I don't know. We got 300. How many we got? How many we got that's signed in to listen to this?
Well, Coach, we got probably I got 3 different Twitters that's got 20 guys watching, and then I got 7 guys that are just on YouTube. So, Coach, I mean, I don't even know how many it is. It probably is 200 with all.
Well, I don't know. Let's say it's 50. Let's say it's 30.
Yeah.
Okay. One guy can't take up 20 minutes of my time, because then there's the other 29 or 39 that might have a question.
Yeah,
now,
Coach.
if I just did a clinic on that play, then that's good.
Yeah, which we might do.
And I'm not mad at anybody. Trust me, I'm not. But the guy that just wants me to say, "Hey, coach, would you cover the RPO when they read the safety rather than read the inside back?" Come on, you got all day.
Yeah, it's like Vince Lombardi going over the Packers sweep. I mean, he talked for how long on that, Coach? 12 hours on one play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm good at a double team. I'm good at two guys combination blocking. I'm good at, but where's the ball going? I'm always going to ask you, where's the ball going? Where exactly is the ball going?
Yeah.
Okay?
Ooh.
Yeah. And do you have a guy coming back? Or
Be
are you
specific.
counting on the jet sweep pulling? That's so much stuff. Keep the questions simple.
That's good advice. Anything else you got, Chris? Anything you want to say to the people watching or Coach McNally?
No, I mean, seriously, just thank you so much, Coach McNally, for your time. More than generous.
Loved it.
Really appreciated it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it again.
Yeah,
Yep.
y'all stay on here, and I'm gonna end it. So everybody, Rack Coach, that's our sponsor. Check their website out. They're the best.